Alright, we're going back to courtroom. Welcome back. Alright. Witnesses, state your name and occupations for the court. We have Gregson? Yes, sir. My name's Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard's Homicide Division. I was on duty at the demonstration on the day in question and in charge of the forward investigation. Albert Hebron, scientist. We're born in England, but have been carrying out research in Germany in recent years, correct? Yes, that's right. After graduating from university here in Britain, I went to work in Germany and made an amazing discovery. Which is what brought me back. To demonstrate my incredible hypothesis at the Great Exhibition. What you demonstrated was incredible, all right? An incredible explosion. The science was a success. The instantaneous kinesis worked. Everyone saw it. They must have done. Yes, it was a terrible accident, but the demonstration of my hypothesis was a success. Oh, that much is undeniable. Showing this photograph taken by the forensic investigation team. Oh. It was taken inside the Crystal Tower, I take it? A centerpiece of the exhibit, no less. That's right, my lord. Seems the victim was rammed straight into it. Yeah. I see. Well, I will submit this photograph as evidence. Beamed air quotes. What the court said, the victim to the incident was Mr. Odie Assman. There have been a number of allegations made against the man, but putting them aside for the time being, he was the man who financed the research for the experiment and the demonstration itself. I see. To summarize the situation, the defendant is accused of taking the life of the man who funded his work. Would that be correct? Exactly. But couldn't it be that the explosion was caused by some malfunction in the apparatus used for the demonstration? That's right. That must be it. My splendid machine. My poor, splendid machine. You saw it yesterday, didn't you? Can't even examine the wreckage thanks to the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. What? The wreckage? The wreckage? That being the case, how can the facts be established? How could it possibly be determined whether this was an accident or a deliberate and malicious act? Extremely simply, my lord. I beg your pardon? Isn't that right? Witness? What? Sorry? Me? No, your neighbor. Yes, sir. It was murder, plain and simple. Anyone could state that with complete certainty. What? How could he possibly think that? Alright. Thank you, Inspector. I think we'd better proceed to formal testimony. We'll explain to the court on what grounds you claim this experiment to have been a front for murder. Alright. Corpse that went crashed into the Crystal Tower had a broken neck. I made a minor miscalculation of the angle of the beam projection, that's all. That was my mistake. But the post-mortem examination revealed another injury, a fatal wound. There was a lesion in his chest where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp right in the heart. The victim was killed before he went anywhere. And this fella's the only one who could have done it. Extraordinary business. In addition to suffering a broken neck, the victim was stabbed in the heart. Information I would really like to have heard from someone other than the judge. In accordance, his death would have been a more-blood instant from a wound like that. You could say, in fact, that the victim was killed twice by the accused. No, that could be further from the truth. I have here the experiment plan document that was submitted to the security team. The victim stood himself inside something called the bird cage, ready to be beamed instantly. The second level of the Crystal Tower, about 25 yards away. The experiment did not go according to plan, however. As the machine was put into operation, there was a large explosion. Ah. Blast caused the beam transmitter to point higher than intended. Accordingly, the kinesis resulted in the birdcage materializing in midair. Bonk. From where it subsequently fell, crashing through the glass of the crystal tower's large round window. My word. One assumes the victim's neck was broken upon impact with the tower, yes? I'm so sorry. I didn't mean for this to happen. The machine was just too powerful. But honestly, really, I swear, it was just an accident. A terrible accident. Unfortunately, that excuse can't save you. No, not gonna sit in the sharp murder weapon that pierced the victim's heart. A murder weapon? What are you saying? This is the autopsy report submitted by the coroner. Prosecution would like to enter it into the court record. Your request is granted, counsel. What was there in person, you know? What's all the whole ludicrous performance? Only the person on the stage, Mr. Aspen, was that disgraceful excuse for a scientist. And then really, by all accounts, it must have been him. Ought to think otherwise, really. Very well. Counsel for the defense, proceed with the cross-examination, please. Oh, yes, my lord. Need to focus here. What's that? It's been a while.
Hold it!
Are you suggesting that's because he fell from a considerable height? Exactly. Would you like something else about this whole run business? What's that? The fact that the instantaneous kinesis itself was a success. Ah! Not the explosion, the cage that this fella inside suddenly appeared out of nowhere in midair. Although the experiment ended in disaster, the so-called instantaneous kinesis did actually occur. Remind us, Professor, what was the cause of the fatal disaster?
Hold it!
So the angle of projection is critical, is it? And you calculated it yourself, personally? Absolutely. The calculation is far too complicated for anyone but me to carry out. Only you got it wrong, didn't you? Yes, that's right. That's the point. The calculation is so complicated, even I can't make a mistake. People fall for that brazen confidence. I should try it. I took into account the subject's height and weight, and the wind direction, and ambient temperature. I considered every possible variable, so I just don't understand how this could have happened. Obviously, then you had to include the weight of the clothes Mr. Aspen was wearing at the time, I suppose. Ah. Cracking comets! Cracking comets! The answer should have been 3! So much for safety first. 3 must be for safety third. Huh. If that's actually true and not just a silly bit, is a very cracking example of how even when you're hyper-focused on all the details, it's easy to miss something small.
Hold it!
Another fatal injury, you say? That doesn't make any sense. Well, I didn't think I'd have to spell this out, but here we go. Just because there were 2 fatal wounds doesn't mean I'm saying the victim had 2 lives to lose, does it? Too right. Obviously, at first, we thought the bloke had died due to his spine snapping in half as well. But you're saying that's not the case? You'll get your answer once I finish my fish and chips, if you don't keep butting in every few seconds. We all know that's a bottomless bag. The victim plummeted 30 feet into a glass tower. It would be reasonable to assume that is the cause of death. Right, and that's what we all thought, but it was a red herring, wasn't it? There was a lesion in his chest where he'd clearly been stabbed by something sharp right through the heart.
Hold it!
The defense knew nothing of this crucial information. Prosecution received this report from the forensic investigation team only this morning. That was the first we knew of it as well. I can only apologize for the impossibility of informing the defense. Sarcastic and insincere? Thanks. And yet believable. So what was the nature of this sharp object? Among the accused's tools that were in use at the demonstration, one is of particular interest. This. Ah. Well, that's the screwdriver found. Ah, yes, that's the... Ah! There he is! My trusty little companion, Andrew! Andrew, of course. Aha! Do you know each other already? He's one of my dear friends, like all my tools. Name them all, you know. We're one big happy family. Andrew is my flat-headed screwdriver, of course. His brother, Michael, is a crosshead. It would appear your beloved Andrew has a red stain on his shank. Ah! That isn't... it's blood, beyond all reasonable doubt. No! No! And that's not all. The long, sharp shape of this Andrew fellow is completely consistent with the victim's wound. What? What? So curiously off the kilter that I'm willing to believe that he genuinely doesn't know a damn thing about this. Order, order. Got to enter this friend of the defendant as evidence. So one of Professor Hairbrain's tools is the murder weapon. Great.
Hold it!
What grounds do you have for saying that? Ah, do you need to ask?
Excuse me.
Professor Hairbrain, are you hiding something from the court? Just curious. Aha! It's 4. 9. Aha! What was that? I was calculating the neutralization coefficient of electrical charge required for electrolysis of a human subject. To keep the result a secret at all costs, you see. That's why I ate the paper I did my working on. And now I've completely forgotten the number. Dear me, I'm a scatterbrain sometimes. Well, before you ate the paper, you did yell out the number 4. No! You know it. You know my secret coefficient. Oh dear. Oh no, this is bad. Oh my goodness. Perhaps you could just focus on the testimony? What's all the testimony I have to work with? I had no idea the victim had been stabbed. That changes everything. Did Van Zieks keep that to himself until now on purpose to gain the advantage? Oh well, I suppose all I can do is press those witnesses for as much new information as possible. Oh shit.
Hold it!
Victim Mr. Odiasman and the accused, Professor Hairbrain. We know for certain that before the experiment, the victim was alive. That's right, I saw it with my own eyes. Furthermore, following the explosion in kinesis, nobody went anywhere near the body. In other words, only someone else on stage with the victim could possibly have done it. Aha.
Excuse me.
Professor Hairbrain, do you have some information that may be relevant here? Professor? Ah! Sorry. Just calculating the separate molecules of the human body. And the witness stand is the best place for that? Seems as though you might have something to say about Inspector Gregson's last remark. Ah! Ah, yes. Yes, that's right. Of course. Just said that nobody else could have done it, didn't he? Yeah, that's right. Who else could have stabbed the victim, eh? I don't know, but there's no way that I could possibly have stabbed Mr. Aspen, as you say. Eh? Explain, please, Professor. Of course, this cold-hearted policeman may not be aware, I suppose. But humans are warm-blooded mammals with blood running continuously through their veins. I had heard. And surely you see, I'd plunge something the size of Andrew into the man's chest. The whole stage would have been a bloodbath, now a blood swimming pool. Ah. Dozens of Londoners were watching me at the time. Yet not one of them claims to have seen a swimming pool of blood. Well, no, I suppose not. You see? Not one. True, I didn't see anything like that. Hold on, Professor. That was a great counter-argument. Let's see. Order. What Van Zieks has to say. Oh, the chalice is here. Pray forgive the discourtesy if I savor a drop from my hallowed chalice to accompany my old friends a deucing. Here's to you, Albert. Oh, you're too kind, Baroque. But I'm really not a patch on you. Oh. No, you're not. No? You've neglected to mention one crucial possibility. I have? A particular situation in which very little bleeding would result from a stab wound if the screwdriver stays in it. Or when you found the screwdriver at the crime scene. Ah, of course. We found the screwdriver in the machine wreckage, not in the body. Inspector, enlighten the court, please. Yes, sir. Where are they going with this? Right, well, you will amend your formal testimony now, Inspector Gregson. Here's the victim, Odie Aspen, male, age 47, British, 21st October, 2:20 p.m. Coroner Courtney's... Got the coroner's name. Cause of death, hemorrhage of a wound to the chest, pierced the heart, inflicted by a sharp instrument. Broken vertebra. Fall resulting from impact after a sudden fall of a considerable height. This is blood. Mr. Aspen's, no doubt. This is the problem with looking at murder weapons. I've seen this unusually shaped handle before. It's the same screwdriver that was lodged in the grill on the floor of the kinesis machine. It could be important information, so I should definitely make a note of it. And Gregson should know where we found this. Oh shit.
Hold it!
Why would you think that, Inspector? With any wound, it's only when you pull the weapon out that profuse bleeding occurs. Whilst it's still lodged in the body, it acts as a stopper of sorts, for want of a better word. I see. Don't need a medical degree to be aware of this fact. It's common knowledge for any investigator. Where's Susato-san when you need her? You asked me, this bloke masked what he was doing from view with his body before stabbing Aspen with the chest. And he beamed the victim off the stage with his fancy device, the screwdriver still where he planted it. I would never do such a thing. Not my precious little tools. I never use them for such dirty works. You only use tools for their intended purpose. That's common knowledge for any scientist. The fact remains, the lack of blood at the scene can easily be explained, as the prosecution has demonstrated. Alright.
protection.
See that while the weapon remains in the body, there's very little bleeding. Is that unequivocal? Look, there's no blood in the experimentation stage, even though that's where the fellow was stabbed. An explanation for that is if the screwdriver was still hidden in his body, stopping any heavy bleeding. It's common medical knowledge, my learned friend, even on your side of the world. Yes, but about the screwdriver. The thing is, we actually saw it at the scene ourselves, on the experimentation stage. What? It was on the floor by the wreckage of the machine, poking through a metal grill. I went to pick it up, but the detective here stopped me. Isn't that right, Inspector Gregson? Well, now that you come to mention it, yes. Inspector, are we to understand that you permitted the defense counsel to investigate? That you contravene the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act? No, not at all. I wouldn't do that. Just let him look, nothing more. It was very clear that he wasn't to touch a thing. Yes, that's true. The screwdriver was in plain sight on the stage. It shouldn't have been, should it? What are you getting at? This tool had still been in the victim's body when the victim was beamed away by the machine. But it shouldn't have still been on the stage. That's right, it should have been beamed across to the Crystal Tower along with Mr. Aspen. It had been found still lodged in the victim's chest. Order! How do you explain this, Inspector? I don't. It's as though everything that the victim had on his person moved with him when he was beamed. The screwdriver was still in his chest when the instantaneous kinesis occurred. Obviously that should have been beamed to the destination as well. This is a strange situation. Even though people are saying that this instantaneous kinesis is a scientific impossibility, we're still basing arguments on the assumption that it did actually take place. Alright, time to tighten the screws here. My lord, if the prosecution is unable to explain this inconsistency in its argument, you don't conclude that the testimony given in support cannot be relied upon. The glare. Lord Van Zieks is stunned. Oh no. Albert? You're gonna say it wouldn't have been transmitted. Do you have something to say, witness? Yes, I knew it. It bears out. The equations hold. Mr. Naruhodo, don't worry. About what? Without delving into the details, there is no inconsistency. What? If Andrew had been lodged into Mr. Aspen's chest, my trusty tool wouldn't have moved. Andrew remaining on the stage is consistent with my calculations. What? What? It would seem your illusions have been shattered. Clearly we should have heard the accused's explanation. Or should I say, this brilliant scientist's explanation. Glaze him up, and he glaze him up so that he digs his own grave. Mr. Wright found an inconsistency in the prosecution's argument. Scientists. Very well. Defendant will testify again. What is with the scientific explanation as to why the inconsistency asserted by the defense fails to hold? In the name of Apollo, I will, my lord. Glasses. All right. To be clear, I'm still at the stage of gathering data in my research. My hypothesis states that a kinesis cannot transport metal, though. Hence, the metal weapon would have stayed put. In other words, the point was just raised that Mr. Naruhodo isn't an inconsistency at all. Inconsistency. Mr. Aspen was the patron of my research. Without him, my work wouldn't have been possible. I have a duty to protect the incredible machine that we built together. So, the first of your testimony, Professor, is that based upon his hypothesis, metal objects cannot be moved by this method of instantaneous kinesis. In other words, since the screwdriver is made of metal, even if it remained lodged in the victim's chest, its subsequent discovery on the stage, despite the victim being found elsewhere, is not an inconsistency. And therefore, Professor Albert Harebrain could still have been the killer. Oh, good hypothesis holds, you see. You fool. We had to make the cage used to contain the subject from wood for that very reason. I was not addressing you, witness. I was not addressing you. I'm Professor Harebrain. Yes? Do you realize what you've just done? Whose side are you on here? I don't take sides, Mr. Naruhodo. No. I'm here for science. My only interest lies in upholding my hypothesis. I'm a scientist after all. Oh god. Is he working for us or against us? It's very hard to tell. He's not black or white in terms of morality. He's orange in terms of morality. Let's see how you cross-examine this testimony, my Nipponi's friend. Yes, fire away, Mr. Naruhodo. Okay.
Hold it!
And yet your retort to my argument wasn't lacking in confidence in any way. No scientist can find the truth without first finding self-belief. Those are the words of a certain scientist, and I hold in the very highest esteem. But you realize that disproving my argument puts you in a very precarious position, don't you? No scientist should strive to protect himself more than he strives to protect the truth. When you put it that way, and... maybe that's the bolder fact here, that this wasn't in the case of I spoke my mind without thinking. It's genuinely a case of I genuinely believe this. It's quite silly. Well, words of the same great scientist, you know. Words that are causing me a lot of trouble with this scientist. I'm afraid I couldn't tell you, Mr. Naruhodo. But as soon as I remember the magnificent genius's name, you'll be the first to know. It might be worth keeping the names of your idols to mine. You're wasting your breath, my learned friend. Scatterbrain even forgets my name at times. So Lord Van Zieks really did have a friend once. I didn't notice hell freezing over. My hypothesis states that the kinesis cannot transport matter.
Hold it!
Your hypothesis states it? So this isn't proven then? No, of course not. It's merely a hypothesis, but a good one, based upon thousands of calculations. It is widely known that metals cannot be decomposed by electrolysis. Yes, of course, so I am right. My hypothesis is clearly correct. What is it about incriminating himself that makes this man so happy? It's the whole reason why the birdcage is made of wood, you see? Sorry, the birdcage? Yes, that's what I call the C. obtusa cage, in which Mr. Aspen was placed for the kinesis. Oh, there's the thing anyways. Ah, the jail cell in which the victim was detained. It does indeed seem to be made of a timber of some sort. I'll thank you not to refer to it as an instrument of incarceration, Your Honor, Your Lordship. In short, Any weapons lodged in the victim when he was beamed away by the instantaneous kinesis would have been left behind on the stage if it was made of metal, correct? Yes, that's it. Yes, it all fits perfectly with the mathematical models. The ultimate conclusion, then. That the defendant alone had the opportunity to inflict this fatal injury on the victim, is it not? Indeed, sir. Someone beam me out of here. Let me beam me out of this nightmare. Maybe he didn't realize. Maybe I got that. Maybe I read him wrong. Otherwise, the point just raised to Mr. Naruhodo is... And yes. You seem to be pleased by that. Yes, another example of my hypothesis holding true. I sense some sarcasm, Mr. Naruhodo. Are you not pleased? No. I knew it. At the end of the day, I am the one responsible for Mr. Aspen losing his life. Advancement in science is no excuse, I know that. No, you're quite right. Tell the court, did you have a close relationship with Mr. Aspen? Oh, well, no, not really. I mean, I only met him 2 or 3 times. We even discussed my hypothesis and the project, and the research grant, of course. Mr. Aspen, There's an interesting divergence in here. How'd you come to know Mr. Aspen in the first place? A year ago now, a small provincial science journal published a little paper about my work. That's a scientific journal? Good gracious! I should need new spectacles. Might have had an extraordinary hypothesis and a great premise, but at the time I had no money. I had to eat the tiny little meals at a tiny little cafe and drink watered down water out of a tiny little glass. But Mr. Aspen read the paper and came to visit me in my tiny little laboratory and offered you money to help fund your work. Exactly. That's exactly what happened. I handled the theoretical side of things, and Mr. Aspen provided me with an engineer for the practical. And the 3 of us produced that fantastic machine together. The 3. The machine that you brought to the Great Exhibition to demonstrate. We had to apply to the government for some sort of inspection to be allowed to exhibit, I think. I didn't understand all that side of things. Mr. Aspen took care of it. He was a wonderful man. Really, I owe him everything. I hear questionable things about him, but, he's also an ass man. When you say that you built the machine together, does that mean you were involved in its construction? Yes. Well, not exactly. I'm not good with these practical side machines myself. The physical construction was done by an engineer. Little remains of your creation now, though, following the explosion. Repair will no doubt be impossible. Yes, I realize that, but still. If someone were to gather all the broken parts, they could discover the secret of my hypothesis. Mr. Aspen and I toured over that machine for so long. We put our hearts and souls into it. I have to protect our work. So what's left of the machine must be kept safe. That's only fair. Because what happened was an accident. That's the extent of the testimony, then. Thank goodness for that. Don't want him doing any more damage. He's already basically proven that he could have been the culprit. It seems as though all he really cares about is defending his hypothesis. Still, I wonder, what if his hypothesis is just fundamentally flawed? Think if we just straight present this.
Objection.
Professor Hairbrain, you say that according to your hypothesis, nothing made of metal can be beamed by instantaneous kinesis using the machine you made. Is that right? Yes, that's right. Spot on. Exactly correct. In that case, I'd ask you to have a look at this photograph that was taken at the scene. In particular, I'd like you to pay attention to the victim's face. You can clearly see that Mr. Aspen is wearing a pair of spectacles with a metal rim. What? Metal? No, metal can't. That's not... metal? No! We've already established that the proposed murder weapon, the screwdriver, was found on the stage. However, if your hypothesis is correct, it correctly predicted that outcome, it should also have predicted that the metal rim and the spectacles would be found in the same place. Ah! My hypothesis! My hypothesis! Professor Hairbrain, this isn't easy for you to say. Your hypothesis is clearly flawed. Ah! Looks like he's doing a little shimmy from the back. Order! 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 Counsel, what is the implication of this? If on the day in question the alleged instantaneous kinesis never actually took place, it is entirely possible the victim was killed somewhere other than on the stage. In that case, someone other than the defendant could have been the culprit. Nah, but my hypothesis is sound! I proved it that day. The experiment was a success. The experiment was proof of my work. If I could say something here, in my capacity as a fellow of the Royal Society... Yes, Joe number 4, go ahead. As a man of science, there's one thing I simply cannot abide. That's a fraud who pretends to be a fellow man of science. What? Wait, Scott! Are you suggesting my science is suspect? It's been disproved, hasn't it? In front of all of us. In other words, the whole demonstration was a complete nonsense from start to finish. Leave me, my fellow jurors, I tell you that this man is a heel, bounder, and a fraud. I see the wreckage of that machine. It should be stripped down and thoroughly examined. Ooh. No! Never. The machine is the essence of my entire hypothesis. It's protected by the Special Dispensation for the Scientific Equipment Act. What the devil is that blasted act all about, eh? Who made up such a daft rule? I don't like the way this seems to be going. What's the best way for me to help the professor? Maybe I should watch and wait for the time being. My feeling is that the machine requires a thorough examination. What if this special dispensation that's been mentioned? Oh gosh, this is all so much. It's determined that the machine itself was the murder weapon. I think you'll find that act won't apply. Regardless of what's the murder weapon, anyone can see that plain as day. So we're all in agreement, are we? The machine should be stripped. If I don't do something, they'll...
Objection!
Mr. Hairbrain has yet to perfect his invention. That would seem to be the case, yes. Even so, what? Going to such trouble and expense to create a fake machine to display in public. You would have absolutely no reason to do such a thing.
Objection!
Oh, you're waiting for that. He had an obvious reason to do exactly that. For the research grant money. Ah! If the government was foolish enough to have deemed the man's ridiculous notion plausible, he and his conspirators would have received a handsome sum indeed. Conspirators? What would be the value of such a grant? £10? You're an order of magnitude out, madam. £500 a year. Oh, you could have handsome on that much for years. The Society's noticed an increase in bogus public demonstrations in the field of science recently. And plenty of scientists arguing with each other to get the largest slice of the funding cake. People's greed is plenty motive enough for murder, I assure you. You're in a bad part, Al. No. I haven't deceived anyone, least of all the government. My hypothesis is sound. The science is sound. Please, you have to believe me.
Objection!
No matter how unbelievable this hypothesis may seem to you, ladies and gentlemen, the fact remains that the victim was transported instantly to the Crystal Tower. Which means that the experiment was a success. Again, Baroque coming in. Baroque. And therefore, the only person who could possibly have committed this murder is the accused. Baroque. Where's this heading? I have no idea. My lord, if I may. Yes, Lord Van Zieks? Prosecution would like to summon new witnesses to the stand. New witnesses? What will be the nature of their involvement? They were spectators of the demonstration at the exhibition. Were occupying special seats. Eyewitnesses? Very well. The court grants the prosecution's request. I should very much like to hear from eyewitnesses to the incident. Prosecution's stance is clear. This experiment was no pastiche. The accused killed the financier victim on the public stage before the very eyes of the spectators. Now, my learned friend. Oh, yes? It's time for you to make your own stance clear. There's clearly a flaw in the professor's hypothesis. You can definitely see that. But where does that leave me? We shall take a short recess now. During which time, the prosecution will prepare its new witnesses to take the stand. As you wish. My lord. Good. In that case, court is adjourned for 20 minutes. Draw part 2. It's going to be an interesting discussion. Hey, Mr. Naruhodo. What on earth were you playing at just now? Or rather, what on earth were you playing at all along? My hypothesis! My amazing hypothesis! You were picking holes in it for the start! Sorry about that. What you promised me? You said you'd prove that dreaded explosion was an accident, not murder. You said you'd keep my precious invention from falling into anyone else's hands. But all you've done so far is try to undermine me. Oh, yes, I did make you a promise, you're right. I said that I'd believe in you and fight for your freedom to the very end. I also told you I was no scientist. I don't understand your hypothesis. The fact is, there's an undeniable flaw in your logic, isn't there? But if I just run through some equations... Yes, you see, it's because my work is incomplete. Perhaps it is. Nevertheless, the man died as a consequence, didn't he? Oh. Oh, no! You're right. You're so right. It's all my fault. I have no right to blame you for my failures. A disaster, not just as a scientist, but as a human being. Well, I might be a little over the top. While we're on the subject, what about Burke? He's being awful. Claiming his old university friend to be a murderer. He's mean. It's a disaster, not just as a prosecutor, but as a human being. Oh, but no, wait. He's the Reaper, isn't he? Perhaps he's not classified as Homo sapiens anymore. That's cleared up. Clear as... What's denser than mud? Can I double check something with you? Yes, what? Machine and demonstration that you prepared. They were based entirely on your hypothesis, I presume. There was no trickery involved. I drew the plans for the machine with my very own hands. Every line was painstakingly drawn with a firm belief that science is the only future. So yes, it's true that my hypothesis hasn't reached maturity yet, but please, Mr. Naruhodo, you must believe in it. All right, Professor, I understand. Counsel, defendant. Prosecution's witnesses are ready to take the stand. Court is about to begin session again. Make your way to the courtroom, please. I don't know if we really got through to him whatsoever, but It all hinges on that demonstration. If the professor's hypothesis is sound as he claims, it leaves him as the only person who could possibly have killed the victim. On the other hand, Mr. Sholmes was adamant. A practical implementation such as was attempted by the professor at the Great Exhibition is quite impossible. It was built to his specifications, but he's not the engineer. Really, what should I be trying to prove here? Leave in the truth and see where it leads us. So business as usual. In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby reconvene proceedings of this court. Counsel for the defense and prosecution, are you ready for the new witnesses to testify? The prosecution is ready, my lord. As is the defense, my lord. So, Lord Van Zieks. I believe the next witnesses saw the demonstration on the day in question with their own eyes. Indeed they did. As luck would have it, one of them is a police detective. So the testimony we're about to hear can be considered highly reliable. Perfect. Detective of all people. Said Gregson again. The prosecution's stance remains unchanged. Though it ended in tragedy, the demonstration on the day in question was scientifically sound. And consequently, the sole person with the opportunity to have committed this act of murder is the only other individual to have been present on the stage at that time, the accused. Thank you, counsel. The prosecution's position is clear. So bring forth your witnesses now. Bailiff, show the witnesses in. Witnesses whose proximity to the incident of the day in question will clarify the truth unequivocally. Gina! Witnesses, state your name and occupations for the court to hear. My name is Balthazar Lune. Balune. I am the impresario of all the hot air balloons in the vicinity of the experimental stage. My name is Wilhelm Gottschalk Sigismund Ormstein. I have come to see the Great Exhibition all the way from my home in Bohemia. A scandal in Bohemia? I'm very rich. Inspector Gina Lestrade, Scotland Yard. I'm a great detective. Even Sherlock Sholmes agrees. I was on security duty at the exhibition and got to go up in one of them balloons. It was amazing. Oh, Gina, again. But she did mention that she had seen the disaster from up in the balloon, actually, didn't she? And she clearly loved every minute of it. There were 3 balloons flying in the public experimentation stage where the incident occurred. 2 of these witnesses were in one such balloon at the time and saw events unfold from the skies above. You make it sound as though you make it sound like they were in the clouds. It was only an altitude of circa 60 feet, very low. Well, you can't see nothing if you fly too high, can you? 60 feet, about 18 meters then. Good math. Thank you for your introductions. Now, you will give us your formal testimony for the court. Kindly describe exactly what you witnessed, especially those of you who had a vantage point above the stage. It was an incident terrible. I'm only grateful that my balloons were not damaged. At this huge bang from the stage, and the next second another bang in the sky beside us. And from amidst the smoke, a cage appeared out of nowhere. In the cage, it fell from the sky like a stone, and crashed into the great tower. I didn't get a good look inside the cage, but no one went near it after it crashed into the tower. Most extraordinary collective account, I must say. I'll just clarify something. There's a detail in the witness's testimony that I have not heard any mention of until now. Specifically, there were 2 explosions. More precisely, 2 explosions in 2 separate places, yes. One the device, one tower side? When the demonstration began, the balloon carrying the 2 witnesses was around here. There were other balloons in the air nearby at the time, carrying other passengers as well, to be clear. Then, as power was supplied to the machine for the demonstration, the first explosion occurred. The so-called birdcage that contained the victim disappeared from the stage, and a moment later, a second explosion occurred, directly adjacent to the balloon carrying the witnesses. Birdcage appeared at the side of the explosion, subsequently to plummet down into the crystal tower. Okay, so the second explosion wasn't actually the crash of the crystal tower. I was very surprised. Suddenly a cage appeared before my eyes with a person inside. The blast was so hot, I didn't want to miss a thing, so I kept my eyes wide. I still have lots of money. Thank you. Precisely who is this curious infant? I am told he's a young noble of Bohemian royalty. Apparently he disguised himself in order to steal, unnoticed into the great exhibition. Ja, I am here in London on a sightseeing trip with my elementary school. You will have the benefit of a child's point of view in the testimony. Do we really need that? But I removed my mask. This is what I look like. Oh, yes, I see. A delightful face, I'm sure. You are indeed a child. Ja, everyone says so. Great disguise, then. The point is, the testimony of these witnesses further substantiates the facts for the court. Namely, that despite ending in an explosion, instantaneous kinesis was successfully demonstrated. And furthermore, that until the arrival of the police, no one approached the crystal tower where the victim fell. Therefore, only the accused, who was with Mr. Aspen on the stage, could possibly have committed the murder. Yes, thank you, counsel. The prosecution's views on the matter are quite clear. Oh, the defense's cross-examination now, please. Yes, my lord. Alright, let's see. What does this get us?
Hold it!
There were 3 balloons flying above the experimentation stage at the time, I understand. Si. All 3 of them by bellissimi bambini. They are very popular, signor. Some people would pay £10 for one ride. £10? That's more than my annual stipend. £20 a month. That is my pocket money. Royals have all the luck. I got there for free, I did. Played the old I work for Her Majesty's police card, you know. Detectives have all the luck. If they're so popular, why would you only be operating such a small number of balloons, though? Scarcity. Because if I have too many in disguise, they could crash into each other. Well, that's the reasonable answer. The capitalism answer is scarcity. Charge more for them. The operators for the balloons were decided by lots, with each operator manning a particular area. See, and the zone above the public experimentation stage is the most profitable. Give the impresarios, they hate me. Thank you, witness. I think the court has a clear picture of the arrangement for balloon rides at the exhibition. I wish we could hear more about what you actually witnessed the incident. Right, I can fill you in there, my lord. Two bangs.
Hold it!
So you actually saw the accident happen from up in the air? Yep. Isn't it amazing what a detective gets to do, eh? I'm telling you, Otto. Being the lawyer's a mug's game. You should join the force and we can go flying together. Oh, You know me so well. That's oddly adorable. But yes, well. Anyways, would you tell us exactly what you saw? Do you think? Everything. We saw everything because we were up above. Because we were up above it all. That dirty cove climbing into that cage. That dirty professor pulling all them levers. And that's when it happened. That's when there was that massive bang and the cage disappeared. Just like that. You are describing the moment the subject's body was decomposed by the electricity, I believe. I didn't know what to make of it. But then there was another bang, right in my ear. I looked round and there was a huge, great fireball right next to us in the sky. And there was nothing there before.
Excuse me.
Fireball. Master Gotts, does your memory of the day differ? My teacher at elementary school said that when you meet someone for the first time, you should always use their full name. Ah, yes. What was it again? Wilhelm, Gottfried, Sigismund, Ornstein. Where's Smaug? Just the 4 names, then? Point is, do you have something to say? Something to add in response to Detective Gina Lestrade's last remark, perhaps? Oi, get it right out. It's Inspector Lestrade. What's everyone have a problem with how I address them at the moment? That is not what I saw. Oh? Yeah, there was a second explosion and it was right beside our balloon. That is true. But I'm sure, which is what I said, isn't it? 1 minute there was nothing there, and the next massive explosion. My teacher at elementary school said that when someone else is speaking, if you are rude enough to interrupt, you will have the most awful life imaginable. Oof. Are all Bohemians brought up to be so full of joy? Where are all these balloons going after you buy them? Child. Just before the second explosion happened next to a balloon, I clearly witnessed a green balloon flying in the sky. A green balloon? Eh? What? I never saw anything like that. Yeah. But I did saw it. I saw it, and you can't say I don't. I will complain to the council. I will cry and scream. But that what is the truth. I am Bohemian Prince. You cannot say it is a lie. That is not allowed. Tja. Playing the bleeding royalty card, are you? Typical. Says the orphan who likes to remind people she works for Her Majesty's police. Oh boy. In that case, young man, I must ask you to amend your formal testimony. In the interest of cordial national relations between Great Britain and Bohemia. Oh, I forgot. Well, she's really asserting that the demonstration was genuine. What if it was actually some kind of switch-around trick instead? That would mean that the victim was never actually on the stage in the first place. The 2 explosions would have thrown everyone watching into a panic for sure. I think we need to find out more about what exactly people saw at the time. It was not the sky that exploded. It was a green balloon that was next to ours at the time.
Hold it!
I think we have a piece of that green balloon, but a green balloon, you say? Are you sure about that? Of course I am sure. I'm a proud Bohemian prince. All these questions are making me boring. I think you mean bored? Ach, English is very annoying. The language of my countrymen is far superior. Ragazzo, it is very wrong to lie. Lie? Flying balloons would never explode. For the same reason that planets never explode, it is logical. Please tell me that doesn't mean logical. You insult me, you insult all of Bohemia. Madai. I will have the army come and shoot all of your stupid balloons out of the sky. All of them. There you are, Your Highness. No wonder if only all international incidents were so easily resolved. Now that peaceful relations have been restored here in the courtroom, perhaps we could return to the testimony. Did you also see the moment that the cage materialized, Mr. Loon? No, I did not see the explosion myself. However,
Hold it!
over the sky. Did you see that actually happen? No, but not in reality. I did not. I saw after it hit the tower. There was a grande confusion around the stage. I ran to see what happened. I was terrorized by the idea that one of my balloons had crashed. That's fair. I suppose they are his livelihood. But when I looked up at the sky, all my precious balloons were still there. I saw it, though. I saw it slammed at the tower. After all, I am a detective now. Then tell us what you saw, Inspector Lestrade. That's what I like to hear. Oh, I support your ambitions, Gina.
Hold it!
No one went near it. Was it you who gave the order to keep people away? Eh? Use your head, Odo. How could it have been me? I was but a balloon, weren't I? Right. Of course that wasn't available. It was the boss who had to leg it over there. He was getting shoved and kicked all over by the panicked spectators as he tried to seal off the scene. It's a real sight to behold, I can tell you. Amazing. Poor Inspector Gregson. Anyway, I couldn't see the cage. That well because of all the smoke. I didn't really want to see, to be honest. I was scared of my wits. Keep it together, Inspector.
Objection!
False. Sure, something about that last statement seems odd, doesn't it? Would you care to mull over precisely what you find odd about it in your return journey to Japan? Damn, alright. Wouldn't be back to give the court an answer for about 4 months, though. We should be happy to carry proceedings forward in your absence, Counsel. He sounds serious. I have to prove my worth before he really does send me back home. Little mind got. Okay, I think of the route we need to go here. Like, I think the green scrap is part of a damaged balloon. I think by adding this to the testimony, we reveal that? Even though we'd like soft reveal that. At the very least, Gotts tells us that a green balloon exploded. Even if the evidence doesn't exactly count, we have evidence that could tie into that. We'll present that here.
Objection!
Okay, good. Mr. Luna, in your testimony, you said that all 3 of the balloons you had operating at the time were undamaged. See, that is correct. If they'd been caught in the explosiones, it would have been terrible. I wonder if you might know what this is. Ah, I think it may be. See, about a balloon, a burnt piece of the fabric of the envelope. Sorry, the envelope? Pardon. That's a large round part of the balloon which becomes filled with hot air. It's made from very thick fabric lined with rubber. You do not want it to rip off when you're in the sky. Just as I thought. The piece of cloth was found near the experimentation stage. In other words, as Master Gods testified. The green balloon did indeed explode that day. Yeah. If all the balloons in the sky above the experimentation stage belong to you, Mr. Lune, then your statement that they were all undamaged clearly contradicts this evidence. No! You got a little balloon hat. If a balloon exploded that day, why did the man say so? Maybe everyone on board was killed. Oh no, having just spent 10 whole pounds for the experience, how awful! Aims to be like those things crash 80% of the time anyways.
Objection!
The instantaneous kinesis did occur, but after the explosion of the stage, point of materialization shifted to a location occupied by a balloon. Causing the balloon to explode? Yes, eminently plausible. Unfortunate traffic accident, as it were, but it changes nothing about the pertinent facts. Miss, I cannot accept. Why not, Mr. Lune? You're suggesting that I'm a liar. That person died at the balloon incident day. There's no need to get fired up, Mr. Lune. The victim was the sole fatality of the day. That's right, and I prove it. Dr. Lune is not a liar. There was no such balloon in the sky. It is not possible. You're saying it's impossible. Why? This court has more important matters to discuss than the number of balloons that were operating that day. Nay!
Objection!
But we can't ignore the fact that nobody appears to have known anything about this other balloon until now. My lord, defense calls for further testimony from Mr. Lune. I concur. There is clearly more to the truth here than meets the eye. It's imperative that we clear up this issue of the phantom balloon, I feel. Witness, you will give supplementary testimony about the balloon you were operating at the exhibition. Ah, grazie, my lord. But why are we talking to gods? Mr. Lune's balloons. As I said, Balthazar Lune is no liar. The balloon I had in the sky, and I landed safely. All 3 of my balloons were carrying passengers. They fell to the ground in an explosion. What a catastrophe. Well, you can't get away from the fact that a burnt-up bit of cloth was found at the scene, can you? Copies of the yard reckon it was probably some debris from thrown from the explosion on the stage. This stupid old Lagasso is mistaken. My balloons have the red and blue zigzag stripes anyway. What do we make of that? So her assertion is the fact that is that the balloon this child saw was not one belonging to you. Si, exactamente. You even saw a balloon in the first place. I don't like the sound of it. It's very bad for business. I have a good mind to sue the land of Bohemia. If you attack us, we will fight back. It will be war, a lot war. Peace. What happened to all-out war? Mr. Lune certainly didn't appear to be lying. That doesn't change the fact that the testimony and evidence are contradictory here. If the defense is unable to find fault with the witnesses' statements, the court must consider them the truth. Think long and hard on that, my learned friend. The situation has clearly changed now. I had to get back to the bottom of what happened here, no matter what it takes. Counsel, you may now cross-examine the witness. Alright. I guess you're in the middle, if that makes sense. Alright, we will see you next time.